I just want to get it out there, the whole social thing, because it drives me nuts every time you say, I'm homeschooling my kids. The first thing most parents say are, oh my gosh, are they going to be socially, retarded or something? No, they're not. We don't live on a farm in the middle of nowhere where they never socialize with anybody. They get plenty of socialization with, neighbors, their friends at church, their extracurricular activities that we do. And I don't know about you, but if you've seen most kids nowadays socializing, especially teenagers, they don't do a whole lot of it. They're usually just staring at their phones. So the whole socializing is not a concern to me at all. I'm not even worried about it in the slightest. So we decided to homeschool this year. We had our kids in a private Christian school, and the cost just kept rising, and my husband's job changed, so he wasn't making as much. And I am a stay-at-home mom, so I had the time and ability to do it. And so we made the decision that we were going to try it out for 1 year and just to see how it went. And worst case, if it didn't work out, we would cross that bridge when we got to it. The initial thought, I thought, wow, okay, this seems like too much, but I had a peace inside. I knew that if God brought me to it, that he would help me through it. And so I started researching to find out more about homeschooling, because I really knew nothing about it. And once I started researching, I actually was pleasantly surprised at what I found, starting with the laws and the requirements. Every state is different, so depending on the state you're in, you have to find out what the laws and requirements are for your state. But for mine, it was 172 days a year, an average of 4 hours a day of learning. So it really wasn't that bad. And then you only have to do testing or evaluations on the odd years, so like 3rd grade, 5th grade, 7th, and so on. In between those times, you as a parent can really pick and choose the program you want to use, how you want to homeschool, what you want to homeschool. They do have certain things that they do have to learn that they will be evaluated or tested on. But aside from the basics, there's just a lot more freedom in it than I originally thought. I guess I was under the impression that you had to submit a ton of stuff to somebody weekly, or I don't know, monthly, that you were always going to be under somebody's radar, I guess, all the time. And it just, initially I was just really surprised at the freedom in it. That really got me excited, because that's what I wanted. Secondly, I thought that when I first started researching, there was all these programs you can do online that you have to pay for, which turned me off at first, because I thought, well, if I'm going to homeschool, I still don't want to have to pay somebody a bunch of money if I'm going to be doing, the homeschooling anyways. Well, come to find out, you don't have to use those accredited programs. And there's a lot of programs out there. And today, when we're in the information age, there are a ton of resources online, on YouTube. It's endless, the learning researches you can get, the library resources, the libraries, it's endless. But I found a program, and I'm in no way promoting this. I don't work for them. I'm not promoting it, other than the fact that it's what we're using and it's been working for us. And it was called Easy Peasy. I found it online, and it was 100% free. And I think the woman that created it had homeschooled all her kids. And she has a bunch of different links, but it really was like you go to your child's grade, click day 1 and follow day 1. Day 2, you go on, follow along, go through, what it was. And what really turned me on to her program was I went on to her facts and information page and read through it. And she had answered every single, I guess, fear and question I had about homeschooling and things I was wondering about. She covered very thoroughly, and she talked a lot about, how much kids should learn each day, and what and why. Anyways, most of what she said, I just really, really resonated with. I don't know, it just hit my heart. It's exactly what I had been feeling and thinking when it comes to kids and learning in school. So that was huge for me. So we started using that program called Easy Peasy. So now I wanted to talk about some of my experiences this first year of homeschool, some of my positive stuff, because I wanted to give you guys some encouragement. First and foremost, I feel like I've been given the gift of time with my kids. I heard a saying once, you'll never look back on your life and think I spent too much time with my kids. That will never be a regret. And for me, it's awesome. Like I thank God daily that I get to spend the days with my kids. It's been a huge blessing. Not saying it's always easy. Usually by Thursdays, my patience is completely ran out, and the second my husband gets home, I escape. So I'm fortunate that my husband, has been real supportive, and if I need to leave when he gets home from work just to get a break, I do. So that's been a huge blessing. But I will never regret the time that I get to spend each day with them at all. The second greatest thing is I am so much less stressed. Our whole day doesn't revolve around getting the kids to school and picking them up. Last year I have a 3-year-old. Last year she was 2, and there were days I had to wake her up screaming from a nap. Waking a baby up from a nap is never a good thing, to go pick up my kids. There were times she just didn't want to get in the car, and I'd have to listen to her screaming bloody murder the entire drive. So not revolving my whole day around dropping off and picking up is huge for me. We're still on a routine. We have our own routine, but our mornings aren't like they used to be. Like, it wasn't like jumping up, getting our chores done, getting ready, me hurrying and packing lunches and getting them to school on time. Now we set our own schedule, our own pace. The flexibility is amazing. Like, we get to choose when our spring break is. We get to choose when our fall break is. We were able to go this last year on our anniversary trip, right when we wanted to, versus going on fall break when we would normally have to. And the coolest part is when we got back, we picked up right where we left off. So it wasn't a stress for me or the kids, like having to go to their teachers and get all their makeup work and then have to worry about making up an entire week of school when we get there. It wasn't that way at all. We literally went on our trip, enjoyed every minute of it, and when we got back, we picked up right where we left off. So that's huge, stress-wise for me and the kids. We are usually done with our learning by lunchtime, so we have the whole afternoon to go do other things, get outside, enjoy the outdoors, just go on adventures together, or just relax. Sick days, if my kids were sick, again, no calling and worrying about makeup work or anything like that. We just took a sick day and we started right where we left off the next day. So stress-wise, it's been awesome for me and the kids. And also, the homework thing. We don't have homework at nighttime, other than we do reading every night. And then our evenings are less stressful. We have more time to spend together as a family. More time to do things that they love to do versus the stress of being in school 8 hours a day and then getting home and doing homework another 2 to 3 hours. It's ridiculous. Kids do not retain all of that, nor do they need that. And it's way too much stress on kids and parents alike. So that to me is priceless right there. The money we save, and I'm not just talking the money I no longer pay to a private school. That was a lot, of course, but I know there's a lot of you that are doing public school. The money we save because we get to do everything on the off season. So we just did a little family trip last week to a cool place here in Colorado, and because it was a week before everybody else's spring break, we saved about $200 a night on our room, and we beat the crowd so that we weren't there fighting a million other people trying to take their vacation on their kids' break. So that was awesome. We're always going on the off times on everything, so it's never crowded. We get to thoroughly enjoy. We pay less, but then you get to enjoy it more because you're not fighting crowds. So we save a lot of money doing homeschool. And then on top of it, I'm not driving my kids back and forth from school every day and picking them up. So I'm saving money on gas as well. I don't use near as much gas as I used to. So that's been huge, just the money we're saving right now. Another awesome thing for me is just all kids learn differently. So you get to figure out, how your kid learns best, and it's more of an individualized learning technique, and it's more one-on-one. Obviously, they're not in a big classroom full of students where they just kind of have to go with the flow. They're learning at their own pace and they're learning the way that they learn best. You can adjust it and simplify it and adjust it to the way each kid learns best. You know your kids better than anybody. You know them better than a teacher. You've been teaching your kids since they were born, so you know your kids better than anybody, and you're able to know when they're starting to get frustrated, know when they're starting to get cranky. You know, you can take a break. Okay, let's take a little break, go run around, go play, and then we'll pick up where we left off. So it's totally customized to your kid, which is priceless. And then the joy of seeing your kid learn. You know, when I first started teaching my 6-year-old and different things, and you'd go through the frustrations where there was times he's crying and frustrated and you're frustrated, you know, but then all of a sudden you start seeing him get it, and you start seeing that light go off, you know, go on in his little head, and that's priceless. And I thought to myself, wow, you know, if he were in public school all these years, I wouldn't get to see these little moments of joy and him getting it and stuff. Like, we usually miss out on that. Your teachers get to experience that. I've also noticed my kids and me, all of us, have been a lot less sick this year. I don't know if your kids are like mine, but it got kind of old when every time I picked them up from school. How was your day? Good. What was your favorite part of the day? Recess. What did you learn today? I don't know. I forgot. A big thing for me too was I get to control what my kids are learning. So we get to incorporate things we believe into our learning, and as well as things that we don't believe that some of the public schools are teaching, we don't have to teach our kids. Things that are not age appropriate that kids are learning too early in school. So we get to control what our kids are learning, like Common Core. I mean, how many parents want to pull their hair out because of Common Core math? We don't do it. We don't do Common Core. I'm teaching my kids to do math the way I learned math. So that's been a huge stress relief for us. So just doing the hands-on learning with them, and more of the getting just to decide what they're learning and when it's age appropriate, that's been huge for us. I really believe that kids retain more of what they're learning with homeschool because they don't have all the peer distraction that's going on and all the just the other things that are going on in public schools. So, you know, studies have shown kids don't need 8 hours of learning a day. They don't even retain it. And so I feel like our time that we spend learning is a lot less time, but I feel like they're retaining it a lot more because they don't have any of the other distractions. So I feel like they're really retaining it more. So to sum it up, I know this video has been kind of long. I just really wanted to encourage you. I'm not saying it's always easy. I'm not saying there's not days that are totally stressful or anything else. But for me personally, when I compare homeschooling to when I had them in a private school, I am a lot happier. My kids are a lot happier. I feel like we have a lot more family time together. And most importantly, we have more time to go on more adventures together that are just outside of the standard box of learning. And to me, that is priceless. We are making memories all the time that are going to last a lifetime. So if you needed encouragement, I hope that some of these things that I've experienced this first year has kind of helped to encourage you if you're thinking about homeschooling.